Good evening. It is now 4:32 p.m. on Thursday the 23rd, and we will call to order this special meeting for today. And we are going to go over the 2015 budget prior to our 2016 budget meeting. Come on over, really. I'm moving things around for the sun. All commissioners are present, and the director and our two admin folks. So first order of business and only order of business is the budget. So for further discussion, you can see the YouTube for the budget meeting discussion. So as we look through this, I'll go over the, I guess as I do for most things, a general reminder that the budget, we as the board, our responsibility is to review the budget, to approve the budget, and to amend the budget if we need to. The budget, we don't make the budget. The budget's actually presented by the director, and so we're here to review this. Yes?
Mr. Chair, I would like to make a motion, if I may please, to limit this meeting to 1.5 hours tonight.
To limit the meeting to 1.5 hours.
I will second that.
So I got a motion to limit the meeting for 1.5 hours. I have a second discussion.
The reason is these ladies have worked all week, as well as some of us have worked all week, and it's been a long week.
Okay.
And trying to use time wisely. Hopefully we can get a lot done in an hour and a half, and we may have to, it probably wasn't the best idea to have it on a Friday at the end of a long week, so but that's kind of where I stand. So.
And also the one thing to remember is do have the swim meet this weekend that they have to get ready for.
We
So
start setting up.
there's a lot of stuff.
Right.
They'll be busy.
Okay, further discussion.
I guess two things. I mean, one, we know that we have a busy week next week, but would we prefer to postpone the meeting? I guess is question one. I guess the other thing is if we don't finish the business that we need to take care of, what's our plan?
That's a good idea.
It's a good idea.
I mean, just to know.
Yeah. No, I understand it.
Well, we can make, I mean, if we don't finish it, we can make another meeting next week, but I just think this here needs to be timed. So that way we can sit there and get as much as we can done. And then, I know they prefer not to be here next week too, but on the same aspect, if we have to be here next week, we can. But I think we need to sit there and keep this meeting as brief, as detailed, as brief as possible. So that way they do get some rest.
I think what we can do is we can use tonight as a stepping stone from Wednesday's meeting also. I recognize the fact that everybody has had a long week. I agree with Wendy. We need this to really launch into Wednesday. So we need to have a firm understanding, and I think that's a big important discussion.
Well, may I ask a question?
Please go right ahead.
Would it be possible to do the 2015 budget Wednesday and then have the 2016 budget the next week?
I think that's possible. I know since we're in discussion, I think one of the things that I'm concerned about is I think I have some questions. So even if we keep it short, it doesn't necessarily have to be an hour and a half tonight.
Exactly.
We can even go shorter than an hour and a half and just ask questions, and to set it up for the next coming Wednesday's meeting.
That sounds good.
I like that, Sean.
So, but we do have a motion on the floor. Donna Sue, did you want to say anything, ma'am? I didn't recognize her yet, so if I may.
No, other than I agree with Wendy, but maybe we'll get it finished tonight. If we don't, then I think we do want to finish the 2015 budget before we get to the 2016 budget.
I think,
However,
yes.
we would have to resolve the issue of whether we can change the agenda for a special meeting.
And-
Which I think there are discrepancies about whether we can do that or not.
And since we're talking about it in discussion, which we can.
Okay, and I'm just saying in this case that is not currently on the agenda for that meeting.
No.
The 2015 budget.
But we've
just wanna
changed agendas for special meetings in the past. I was gone the last 2 days when the discussion on email took place, and I could not pipe in from work due to the Hatch Act. However, we've done that in the past. We shall do that in the future. Until we find something specific in the WAC that presents it, because I have seen nothing. So until we get something more definitive from somebody, I don't think we need to change what we've done in the past. That's my thought on the matter.
I read the pieces that got sent out, and I don't know why the lawyer interpreted it that way, because he can, but I think
Right.
the way we've done it in the past is probably correct. And reading it basically, you have to get the agenda 24 hours out. If you want to
That's correct.
change it, no problem with you, the chair, sending out, here's a correction to the agenda.
As long as it's 24 hours
Yes.
prior to the meeting and everybody's notified.
Exactly.
That was my understanding of the WAC too. We've done that in the past. And actually we did it once in the past where we didn't meet the 24 hours because it didn't go out in time and we couldn't add it to the agenda.
Exactly.
So, but I don't see,
Well, what time is it scheduled for next Thursday? Do you recall off the top of your head?
I want to say 6 o'clock.
I have it. Yeah, it is 6.
It's 6 o'clock, so,
Yeah.
Isn't it Wednesday, or I might be
Yeah,
it's
mixing, I may be
Wednesday.
mixing up the two.
No, Wednesday.
Wednesday at
It is
6.
Wednesday, you're right.
Okay,
You're right.
okay.
You're right, you're right, it is Wednesday, my bad.
No, and you probably said Thursday, but I
Yeah.
translated that in my head to
Okay.
Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
That's what shows.
So
on my-
Wednesday at 6, and even if we meet early on Wednesday, I think Coach just asked me to steal second. Yeah, we start Wednesday at 6. We could always start early too, also, which would be a change to a special meeting. And potato patata. And it was something to ask the lawyer for clarification. Why is he interpreting it this
He
way?
was out of the office, but I did ask him to email me why.
Yes,
And
that'd be
He said
great.
I would be more than happy to when I get back into the office of
That-
the books on Monday.
Cool, because, obviously we want to do
I
things
wanna
right
know.
and be clear and open government, but we've done it in the past and it's never been an issue, and even with Nathan, so, but good.
So before we vote, which I'm hoping we do shortly if we want
Yes.
to
Yeah.
Yes.
time down this meeting, well, then I would propose that perhaps what we could do is, if necessary, we cancel, if we find things running over, I know we're belaboring this whole thing, but if we find things running over, that we cancel the special meeting on Wednesday and we create a new special meeting on Wednesday with the agenda that we want.
We'll address that at the end of this meeting tonight.
Okay.
I like
How's that sound?
I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
So just for clarity purposes.
I like that.
Thank you.
That way we make sure we do the right thing.
Uh,
Further discussion on the motion on the floor? Or on the table, or wherever the motion's at? No further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Roll call, Commissioner Shingleton,
Aye.
Commissioner Pierce,
Aye.
Commissioner Hoffmeyer,
Aye.
Commissioner Holly.
9. Yeah.
Okay, motion carries 3-1. All right, so that being said, we're going to dive into this, if there's no other motions out there. A couple things that I had besides the clarification of who does what there. And now we've got a time frame is, looking at this, we know that we have another $265,575.11 coming from the levy, correct? Do we know how much we're getting each month, or do we get the big one in November and then a little bit in December and then a little bit in January, or how does that go?
We usually get a big one in October, November.
October, November? Okay, so it's the 23rd, so have we gotten our levy deposit for this month?
For October, yes.
Yes.
For
Okay.
November,
So, but it wasn't the around
wasn't the-
200K, sorry.
So that one will actually be the November one?
Okay, so the November one will be the big
Yes,
one.
it was.
Okay.
November last year.
All right, the same thing as last year, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so we know that. And I figure the best way we do this is we go down through each part unless somebody has an overriding large question. All right, so I'm looking at the first part, and as I look through the first part here, I had some questions. Obviously, on our expenses, some of the thing we all know we kind of take a softball guess at what we're going to get for our revenues for the first year. Some glaring ones, punch cards. Wow, that's big. We're 10,000 off, or 9,000, 8,200, 83. Yeah, 8,300 off on punch cards. Is that correct? That's huge. And then swim lessons. Question on swim lessons. The way I'm doing my math, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but we're $36,480 short from what we projected for swim school.
Water temperature made a huge, huge dent in that.
Water temperature but water temperature's been the same as it has in years in the past. So I find, and I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge for just,
We lost a lot of people. A lot of people came back and said, we're not gonna come back until the pool's 83 on a regular basis. When we were running it at 81, 82.
and it wasn't a cold summer though.
No.
So, I mean, that's huge.
Well, and that 36,000 is for the year.
Okay, yeah, I know
So we still
that.
have 3 months worth, so we're not gonna end up.
So how many more swim
36,000
schools do we have between now and the end of the year?
To be added in 3.
Three more. Okay. So how much do we normally make per swim school?
Per session?
Yes, ma'am.
Mhm.
Ballpark, I know that's what it is.
I know, and I have never calculated it per session.
Does it vary?
Yes.
It does, it varies with
By the
enrollment.
number of students.
And won't it be less
It's
than?
usually less in November and December.
Than it is in January.
In the
or
summer.
Summer, thank
In
you.
the summer, yeah.
Do you think are we gonna meet?
No.
No.
How much
No.
are we gonna be?
Nope, we're not gonna make that. I can't tell you what we're gonna be short on, but
Is there any way you could go back and look at October, November, December last year and see
I
what we
could,
were?
yeah.
I mean, that would be
Yeah.
the best
Yeah,
way.
I could-
So can we make a list?
Yes.
Something.
Since we're gonna we're gonna try to cut short, let's look at list of things we'd like to see for,
Swim school, so look at the numbers for 2014.
Historical, yes, please.
For October through
What-
December.
The last three.
last 3 years would be good. I like
Okay.
that, yeah.
Okay. The way that things were previously entered in the system, I'm not sure how
Okay.
2012 and 2013 will look, but I know I should be able to for 14.
Okay.
Give us a ballpark, yep.
Yeah. We can do that. And do you want just October to December of each of those years, or the whole year for the previous?
Why don't we do both?
You know what might be nice?
Okay.
Is if we could look at all 12 months and see percentage-wise how much we're down
Okay.
for those first 9 months. Because, I mean, if it's down 7%, like, pretty regularly, then we should be able to, look at those last 3 months
Okay.
maybe a little more clearly.
Got it.
Thank you.
Um,
And what about punch cards? Do you know any idea why that's low?
Part of it is our older people and the water temperature. I'm not coming when the water's 81 degrees. We had people that left here and went to Anacortes.
Mhm.
Some of them have trickled back. We also have people that used to purchase punch cards for their families because it was a little easier for them than paying their $250 every time they came in. Now military is reimbursing us for them, so that is part of why probably our regular daily admission is higher than we anticipated.
Yeah.
So it's, it'll balance out to an extent, not fully there. Also with Silver Sneakers, we have people that don't need to buy that punch card anymore because they're gonna qualify under that program.
Good
And
things to do.
where will we see them on here, like Silver Sneakers, or will we see them somewhere else? I just
think
curiosity.
with Silver Sneakers, we haven't received a first payment from them yet to code in, but my guess is that they will code into daily admission, just like military does. Because those just all bill into daily admission,
And how often will we receive those payments from Silver Sneakers?
once a month.
Once a month?
Mhm.
Okay.
And there's about a 1 month delay from my understanding with them from, like, when we'll see the reports
Right.
from them of what we actually received and attendance.
Okay. Thank
How
you.
often does the Navy pay too? Is it once a month also?
Yeah.
Kayak lessons was my other question up
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
And Pete, I know, has a strong following, so I was really shocked to see kayak lessons so low. Any reason why we're,
I believe that there was a cancellation from SVC one quarter because they didn't get enough people to sign up for them.
And we do have 2 more classes, I believe, that we haven't received payment for yet for that. So it'll
That
come
have
up
already
a little
been
bit.
run?
That have already
Yes.
been run, so there's
Okay.
2 classes that were run in September, October that are.
Yeah,
once again,
because-
ballpark, how much we getting for those 2 classes, per class? Do you remember, Joanna?
How about they bring that with them at the same time?
Can we look at that also?
I
Thanks.
say they're around 1,900.
I think there.
Yeah, around 1,900 apiece.
'Cause that'll help.
Mhm.
And is the is the kayak lessons are mostly Skagit Valley, or how much?
It's a mix.
How much of a mix, like 60-40, 90-10, you know?
They're mostly through the college.
Most
so you're
it's about
probably-
70% through the college and
At least,
30%
yeah.
through us.
Okay.
May I ask a question, please, on the swim lessons? How you have it broken out with private and youth, right?
Mhm.
Is there any way Wednesday that you could show us what last year was on? Because I really want to wrap my mind around it. Where are we lower at? Is it on private
Mhm.
lessons? Is it on the
Yeah.
regular swim lessons?
Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to do it in the
Okay.
PNL format, just
No,
put
that's
things
fine.
code in,
And
but
just-
I should be able to do it
Because I
like
mean,
in
the
an
thought is
Excel
if we delve
format.
into like where is the problem? Where is that area? It'd be kind of nice to know.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to advertise
Yeah.
either, like we
Yeah.
should.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
things.
Are we ever? I mean, Facebook's free, man. I mean, do we update that very regularly with swim? Okay, cool. Thanks.
One thing with Facebook, they have really started limiting exposure. Like I will post something and it used to be that, you know, it had been viewed by 300 or 400 people.
I gotcha.
Now it's 16 to 50 people, unless I want to pay them.
Yeah.
To
Oh.
promote it.
I
They're
gotcha.
really restricting how many people. So unless you love
Yeah.
us so much that you go and subscribe to see every single thing that we
Okay,
ever
I
post.
got you. Understood.
Yeah.
Thanks. Cool.
Go ahead, Dennis.
I was looking at the meet, the $6,000. Are we gonna meet that?
No.
'Cause-
No.
And I talked to Coach, actually. I had quite a texting thing back and forth. Meets, he estimates we're only going to make 2,000 at this meet. So this one meet that we're having this weekend. He says if we make 2,000 this weekend, that'll be good. He goes, 2,000 is about what we're going to make every meet, and that's a good meet.
Why
Yeah.
is that? I mean, because why is it different this year? I guess that's the question.
He did not give us meet numbers last year.
I could give you what I think.
Yeah.
I think that when, for example, in the past, this place was jam-packed with 4 or 5 teams.
Mhm.
This is 3 teams. It's a shell of Anacortes team coming, and I don't know why they chose to do this, but they chose to only send kids on Saturday, the older kids, I think both groups actually. Bellingham's coming, and Oak Harbor's going to be here,
Yeah.
right? And so really, it's expected that it would be half the amount, because I know that when the last swim meet that Bill Patterson ran, it was about $5,000.
It was.
But there were like 5 teams, and that's the bottom line. And I think because, I mean, this is my opinion, but because of the hits that NWAC has taken over the last couple, 3 years, the teams are a little reluctant to send their kids here to this swim meet when there's other swim meets they can go to. And there's other swim meets the same time period, they're opting to go other places.
And that was the discussion I had with Coach.
And-
Everything
and
you
it's
just
going
And
said.
I guess that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
only thing that I find
Yeah.
strange about that is we didn't have that problem last year, and we didn't have that problem the year
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
That just seems.
Yeah.
No,
It's the truth. I understand your thought.
Yeah,
there.
it just
Yeah.
it's still a head scratcher.
Well, we
to me,
didn't have a
and I'm not
swim
saying
meet
it's not
last
true.
spring,
Right,
you know,
they
and
never-
typically, I mean, over the course of the past several years, they had a Holland Happening swim meet and a Halloween invite. And I don't know why we chose not to do one in the spring this year.
We do have it on the books.
He couldn't get- he couldn't-
He arrived too late to
Okay.
get the.
Oh, is that
So,
what that was?
Yes.
so that, I
So
think
what
that-
happened in the spring? Can I
Yeah,
interrupt?
yeah,
Thank
please.
you.
Yeah, yeah.
What happened in the spring is he got here too late to get the
Yeah.
meet because you have to ask PNS to get the meet.
We should
Right.
have.
When we got the meet for October weekend, right? He said we got the meet, but there's already 2 other meets
Yeah.
in PNS going on this weekend. What
Yeah.
used to be our block, and Bill had a very successful meet, but Bill's meet was not at the typical October timeframe
Yeah.
either.
Yeah.
He did it at a different time frame.
Yeah.
So Coach's concern is double. We won't get that. It's going to take us a while to build that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he knows, his comment to me when we talked about this was, he knows this year is going to be minimal
Yeah.
at best. He goes, but the idea is, we do this every year. We start building back
Yeah.
up that Halloween meet so that in 3 to 4 years, we're getting what Bill Patterson got, that 3 to 4 to 5,000.
And people, they do. I in other sports, I've watched it and I've participated. It's like where it's like, oh, I'm going to this meet, tournament, whatever, that weekend, and you know to expect
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
And if we just sort of blew it off,
Yeah.
then
And
for
I-
a year we lost our spot, like you said.
And I don't want to waste time, but the Masters, they used to do 3 swim meets I remember
Yeah.
in about 3 years. They did about one a year, and it was jam-packed, because I did the announcing
Yes.
a couple of them, and you had like 250 adults in here. Wonder if he could look at doing something like that next spring or summer or whenever.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be nice.
That would be great.
Yeah.
So suggest that, yeah.
Thank you.
And like everything else, I think the NWAC numbers, as bad as they are, don't, we're through the end of the year, but we can definitely tell our swim team's down, but consistent. We still got 3 more months or 2 more months left, 3?
And he still has more people trying out regularly, so I think there still is good potential for growth.
So there is some
continue.
growth potential there.
Absolutely, and with Masters also, we've had several people inquire just this week wanting information on it, so.
Which is great.
That's good.
I know one thing when I was looking at the cost for NWAC, I was looking at I want to say the coaching cost, but we'll get to that in a minute. So revenue's down because the numbers are down, the meets are down. What else do we have questions at here?
The special events programs,
Mm-hmm.
we had budgeted that we would make $2,000. What other special events for the year do we have planned, and do you think we're going to make that 2,000?
I would guess we're going to fall short of that.
So are there any other special events?
We do have, we're going to postpone Fall Fest to do a winter festival combination with Santa Swim. You know, just with how slammed we are with everything, and Erica and I are primarily the ones that do those things. Some of that stuff, unfortunately, we've had to table it for other pressing issues. You know, we're gonna make more to add to that, but we're still gonna fall short on
What's
it.
the spooky swim thing?
Haunted
Haunted
Swamp,
Yeah.
there was no way to pull that off this year with everything going on
Last
here
year
in the
it
month of
lost money,
October.
remember?
Did we? Yeah, that's
We
right.
lost
You are
money,
right.
so-
It needs to be completely
Yeah, we
revamped and
just- yeah,
restructured.
absolutely.
Okay.
I need a year to do that, and I
Okay.
need to not be doing
Doing,
All
two
right.
yeah.
different things.
Okay.
Just so, I mean, so we're looking for, okay, so, sorry, just process check here, at least to help Wendy out. So in some of these cases, things like NWAC dues, things like meet numbers, are we looking to, we know the numbers need to be adjusted.
Mhm.
Are we saying that once we have more information that we will do it, or are we asking that to be done? I'm just trying to be clear on the
And then-
activity.
That's good.
And here's, the answer there is simple. With the way this is supposed to work, I say that with tongue in cheek. Yes, that's a good laugh. Thank you.
Sorry.
The way this is supposed to work is the director comes to us with the changes. Okay? That's the way it works by law, by our bylaws and by the WACs and RCWs. We are not supposed to technically come up with the changes. We approve them. So the things we look at tonight, I would say we need to look at, because I know you guys are collectively doing this, so I would say the staff needs to get together between now and next Wednesday. And then even using next Wednesday as further information, that all needs to be put together for the regular meeting, which I say where those changes need to be brought to us at. All right, so obviously, oh my gosh, we got to do this by next Wednesday. I think that would be a good step to have an idea, but I also think that a definitive plan to go forward has to be there for the regular scheduled meeting. And since you brought that up, if I may, any place we fall short in, we have to rectify those changes. So if you guys see places we are going to fall short, we need to make changes, we should either do that, we need to do that at the October meeting. So we need to recognize. Thank you very much. The November meeting. Thank you.
I mean, I would prefer that we did it at the October.
No, that's a little unrealistic and a little, thank you for correcting me. And they all gave me dirty looks for a reason. So,
Back to the
yes.
future.
No, just a heads up, Joanne and I will be absent at that meeting.
So, no, cool. The October, November?
November.
Okay,
We're
got
at
it.
Books class.
Okay. But that's what we'll need, is we'll need those numbers by November. So, good question. Did I answer it?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
You did.
All right, so going further down here, the other thing I had, and somebody please remind me, I'm going to feel like an idiot when I ask this. Running club dues. What was our final decision on the running club as a board? Somebody remind me, please.
Spring to fall.
Spring to fall. We were gonna try it for 6 months and then do what?
My understanding is that it was on hold.
I thought so
That-
too.
It was as
Yeah.
of last year, and
Yeah.
that was never readdressed,
Yes.
So
Yes.
to my knowledge.
that was my confusion when I looked at this.
And at this point, we should leave that for the new board, I believe. This
Yeah,
is
we had a
something-
bunch of recommendations, and I don't think anything was ever moved or seconded or anything like that. It's sort of, I think the new director will come in
Yes.
and I'm gonna make sure he sees all the recommendations.
Or she.
Or she?
Or she, thank you, sorry.
No problem.
Just a generic he.
I know
he, she.
that.
You know, have those recommendations and then they can think about it and come to us with a recommendation in
Did-
January.
Did we approve, and once again, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't remember, did we put the running club in the budget for this year?
We did, however,
Okay,
we put
thank
it
you.
in, we put it in for the 1,500, I think, and then,
Okay.
but he'd already been working since April or since like not approved time, because we talked about it in
It
June.
was 1,000 on
and-
our budget, sorry.
Yeah,
not
oh,
to-
thank you,
No,
thank you.
thank you.
And
That's
he
what I
got
was looking for.
1,500 because he'd already been working unapproved by the board because we had specifically put it on hiatus until it got approved, and it wasn't approved, but he was working, and then it was like, well, we can't, remember we had that big discussion about his volunteering? Well, he can't be because it's a position he was paid for. We had that legal discussion.
That's right.
And so that's why that budget is $500 off, because he started working without approval of the board, in fact, with specific prohibition of the board.
Is the running club still taking place?
It ended in September,
Okay,
so it's not running right now.
so we need to make sure we address that for the future. Okay,
And we need to adjust that budget
We're
number
gonna have
down
to-
because we won't have any more revenue,
that's correct.
right? So
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a definite budget number adjustment right there. All right, so page 2, rents and concessions.
Oh, it's never mind,
Nope.
sorry.
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
I was gonna, the surplus sales, and then I realized, oh, it's kayaks. Never mind.
Page deuxième.
What's rents and concessions other? That seems like a big amount of money to have in a other category as a budget. And I don't remember it being in the budget, but I probably just looked over it.
Ooh, what did get slipped into there?
Because there's nothing targeted against it, but apparently we made it a budget issue for some reason.
Was that scuba?
That's number, it's in the first
not-
paragraph or
It's not
362.
scuba. I am not. I don't know.
No, that's pool group.
Because basically it's $1,000 just sitting there waiting for you to move it into some other category, is how I saw it.
I am not sure
it's,
what.
it's scuba. According to our approved budget, it's scuba.
Oh.
That's how it's titled, anyway.
As an expense.
Oh,
No, this is revenue.
No, as
it's
Oh,
revenue.
oh, I'm
As
sorry,
revenue.
I'm sorry. Okay.
That
So, but we've had scuba people. I've seen them in the pool.
Mm-hmm, they're here during our last regular scheduled meeting. Stealthy scuba, we weren't supposed to see
They
them.
just pay, my understanding is they just pay get a regular punch pass or
No, they pay.
admission.
He pays several $100s each time he pays. And I believe that they are feeding into pool group rentals on the P&L.
Okay, it's, I'm just looking at the rentals section, and scuba is $1,000, that's all I can, I can't, it's tough to tie some of these items here, but,
That was the hard part, looking at the budget and the P&L format, is there 2 different formats.
Well, and that's, Joanne and I have been working very hard to go through and make the line items on the P&L reflect
Yep.
closer to what that was.
Sure.
And that was really the challenge why this wasn't updated for so long, because I look at that and, well, which of these did she intend to have go in here?
Right,
I mean, it was very challenging.
okay. Well, thank you for what you did.
You're welcome. It's a work in
So
progress always.
the pool group rentals here then is even shorter because our scuba, $1,000 for scuba is included in that pool group rental.
I believe it is, yes.
So how much down are our rentals then? Because that'll put our rentals, how many rentals do we have between now and the end of the year? Is this a high time?
Several on the calendar.
So this is one of these things where it doesn't matter so much what I have on the calendar through the end of the year.
It's if
It
they
matters,
show up.
no, it matters what I can book before the end of the year. Because if we collect payment at the time we book it.
Okay,
So if I start booking things, and I will start booking things for January, February in the next month or so. So it's not really that finite, ooh, what can we hold between now and the end of the year for this
Oh.
particular item?
that makes it even harder to budget for.
It does, it makes it really, it's one of those things where it's really hard to predict. Same thing with passes.
Right.
With passes and punch cards, as soon as people find out rates are going up, they're gonna come stock up. So
It's
that's
gonna
gonna
be huge.
boost those numbers
Yeah.
toward the end of the year.
Okay,
And we always get a little boost in December because people are coming in, they're buying things for gifts for people. And if we promote that, we increase that.
okay,
But it does make it very hard to predict.
okay. Thank you. I will say one positive thing, even though it's a negative number, we're 10 months through the year and our cashier over and short is only $5.46. So that's a good number right there. Thank all the cashiers and the head cashier for doing a good job there.
I actually like the miscellaneous revenues.
But-
I'm not gonna complain about it.
But-
Mystery extra money.
So, well, that's that miscellaneous revenue is that $99 from the whole Amazon Prime thing that really, if there was ever an example of something to put in other
But did it get subtracted?
it
Okay.
did.
But what's the
sorry.
4,500 miscellaneous
I spoke
revenue
too soon.
supposed to be?
Oh, that other miscellaneous.
So that's $5,500 that is listed as revenue, and it's like with zero next to it. That at this
I believe
far
that's-
into the year, that's kind of a bad thing.
Oh, no, never mind. I thought that was the
What
surplus
is-
kayaks.
What
but-
is that? Because that's not on the other one.
I don't know what that is. Is that?
This one?
Right,
Yeah.
brother.
Yeah, because we had this so that everything
Oh my
was
goodness.
feeding in correctly over
Then
here.
maybe
Because
this was, you
4,500
overlooked this, and so it's
that much.
just can be eliminated?
I think there are more meets this year.
Well,
than
and
last
this
year.
may be one of those issues where
I need to
the
go back.
correlation between what was approved on that
What's that?
and where it actually plugs into was missed.
Okay.
It looks like it should be
Yeah.
the kayak sales, right? So I mean, that's the, at least that's
Probably,
the
you know,
number.
Got the
that,
right
and that
number,
probably
yeah.
is what that should be.
That is.
That
the
we
right
thought
number.
that's how much we
Yeah.
were gonna get. but we-
Which one is that?
The 4,500
Yeah.
right here, sir. And other-
369.
Yeah.
Other revenue.
Where those actually
Oh,
end
right
up
here.
up here
Yes, sir.
in the
369.
surplus sales.
Can I ask a question?
How
I'm just
ultimately
curious.
logical
I
of
mean,
you.
the high school swim team,
Mhm.
we basically doubled it.
It's-
What happened? Why
It's
is
because
it-
they didn't get billed
They didn't get
at the
billed.
at the
Yeah.
beginning
Oh,
of
I
last
remember
year
that.
because
I
of
remember that. Remember
Erin's
that?
great job
Yes,
that she
yeah.
did.
Yes.
And so we got double the money this year only because we didn't
Thank
bill
Parker
them.
School District.
Oh, thanks.
And that's why we had to,
Gotcha.
you know, $20,000 to make payroll.
All right, thank you. I remember that now.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Now I asked that question too, and then I was like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know cost of goods will take a big surplus this weekend because that's the concessions for the
Yes.
swim meet, correct?
Yeah, we already spent that.
So my question is, when we look at this weekend, it would be nice to have numbers for cost of goods from this weekend to look at.
Yeah, that'd be
Can you
solid.
also give us, with that cost of goods, how much it's going to cost us to staff? Because do we have we can't have a swim volunteer, we can't have a volunteer parent up there taking money. That's not allowed because it's a regular paid position. We're going to get into legal trouble there. So
You know what? We're wrong on this. We are so wrong on
what
this.
says it?
People are allowed to volunteer. For example, my kid volunteers at a place 2 days a week where people get paid to clean dishes. And it's done through the school. It's legal. People can volunteer. I don't understand where we went down this road thinking people can't volunteer. You can't have an employee who's being paid to lifeguard
That's
to
true.
volunteer for the
That's
pool.
true.
But to have somebody that doesn't
think you're
work for
right.
the pool to volunteer, that's legal.
I think you can't have somebody
right.
who was once paid to do it volunteers
to
to
do
do
it.
the same
And
job.
ask them to do it in a volunteer
Yeah.
position.
So have we asked the swim team if they're willing to put somebody in the front?
We don't want them running our point of sale system.
Okay. But people are
It's
allowed to
com-
volunteer.
Yes, it's complicated. Now, the
Yeah.
hospitality and all of that stuff is staffed by volunteers.
Well, yeah, but we're not making money on that.
No.
So what my point there would be is how hard is it to set a separate cash box aside for cost of goods during the weekend and ask for volunteers from
Might
the
be
swim
something to
team?
look forward to next year.
Because otherwise, and I mean, I know it's small, but if we pay somebody $12 an hour
Starbucks cards.
and we go for, 5 to 6 hours during that day, well, we're gonna go $10 an hour, so my Marine Corps math can be simple. And we go 6 hours that day, that's $60 that comes out of whatever retail sales we're gonna make for that meat. Right?
Oh, it's something to look to do in the future.
So,
And I know that I have had a conversation with a swim team parent, that when they get their booster club going, that we might look at, they order in all their own concessions, do all their own sales, and it goes into their fund, and that front desk area is just closed. One of the things that is nice about this is, it's still traditional normal business hours, to not have it staffed with an employee at all, because we will have people come in during the swim meet for
Right.
information.
right.
Our swim team parent volunteer is not going to be able to tell them anything about schedules, sell them punch cards. In previous swim meets I've worked, we've still been able to do all that, so we would lose that possibility.
Good point.
But I did have the conversation with them about moving toward that in the future, where they're at
Okay.
least providing a lot of
All right.
support for it.
I actually have two questions about this. One of which is it actually cost of goods sold, or is it actually just purchase costs?
It is purchase costs.
Okay. We may want to kind of retitle that, because cost of goods sold would include that
Yeah.
manpower time, if you will.
Yes, it would.
Among other things.
I know it used to go
Thank
in
you.
as concession expense, and it was expensed, the premise was it was expensed immediately upon arrival.
So my secondary question, I know that this isn't a new question, and you know that this isn't, this is a question probably for the floor, but if you would like to answer it, please do. But why is this in the income section? It's a blanket question. I know that part of that is because that's the way it was inherited, but I know that, but it makes me scratch my head a
Would
little
it
bit.
be easier on paper for you if we moved that all to concession expense?
Well, it is an expense, right, that takes away from our revenue, and therefore, I mean, I'm sure that someone had a really bright idea about, I'm trying to give credit, right? I'm sure someone had, and that person is not sitting at this table, and we know that. But I don't understand, it seems to me that it would make a lot more sense to have a chart of accounts where this thing offsets that thing. And I know. I just feel, I need to say it out loud, because I get a little bit of how Joanne's brain works and Julie's brain in terms of no kidding. That'd be nice. But for me, it's food for thought as we look at the new budget, for us to kind of consider how that might work as well. Not to make your lives more difficult, but to in fact keep us from asking certain questions that we could figure out ourselves if it made more sense, right?
I think that falls into supporting the whole thing that we've discussed before, where we close the books at the end of the year and start fresh for 2016.
I think it's that, but I think it's also with the right chart of accounts.
Well,
I think-
naturally, yes.
Yeah, well, but that's a separate exercise in and of itself.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And yes, that's usually how that exercise goes, is she kind of grimaced. Can I call that a
No.
grimace? Okay, anyway, sorry, thank you.
All right, so any further questions about the gross profit on up on the P&L? All right, now the fun part. Questions on expenses. Let's look at that first page.
Deck coaches. I thought the $3,015 was what we agreed to in June and what had already been paid.
Wait, where are you?
Oh, sorry.
Please help.
Salary
Right
and
here.
wages,
Okay,
400403,
okay.
page 2.
Yeah, where did that
so
come
it's
from?
$1,800 more than what we allotted. Where did the $1,800 get spent? Because I thought,
January and February.
No, I thought that was the 3,015.
Yeah.
I remember being told, we've spent 3,015, and June we said, this is what it's gonna
Mhm.
be, and no more to be spent, and I didn't think we had spent anymore, so is that just a mistake?
We haven't spent.
Yeah, we haven't either.
So-
Yeah.
In fact, she has not even been paid for that last time that she filled in for a weekend yet because she has not turned in the timesheet for it yet.
So take a look at that 48, 27, 20, where did it shouldn't be.
Where did that come from?
Why is it there? Yes.
Yeah, so you have to
Excellent.
explore that.
Yep. Yeah, because we haven't had anybody working. Could be somebody punched in wrong. That can happen.
That's a big wrong.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on, the one question I got, you said that she hasn't charged she hasn't put in her timesheet for the last time she did it?
Which was what, back in the summer?
So we still owe
She
money
was-
to her?
Yes, she was technically still on maternity leave and she was asked to fill in on a swim meet weekend. I don't know, I can't remember why she hasn't turned it in all this time, but
This was months ago, though.
yes. Yeah, that's when I have no idea why she hasn't turned it in.
But that's something that we gotta follow up on, because if we owe her money and stuff, because, you know, with,
Do we know the hours? Was there a time card
Coach was
submitted?
gonna follow up with her.
Okay, do we have hours in the clock?
She is a paper employee.
She's a paper employee, so she never submitted a time card.
She never submitted the timesheet, so she knows when they're due.
Okay. We need to like reconcile that and get it fixed like yesterday. Whether we call or send, actually an email is recorded the best way to do that. Send an email, say if we don't hear from you in this amount of time, then we will consider the matter closed, and give her, at least 3 to 4 days, but, or
I
a
don't think
week.
you can say the matter is closed. I
Okay.
think there's other, and I'm not for sure how
Yeah, good
that's,
point.
but that's something we gotta look into.
How many
is-
hours? How many hours?
It would be, what, 3 or 4?
It would have been Friday afternoon and Saturday morning, I think.
So 7, 8 hours?
Something like that.
I don't even think it was, well, Friday afternoon maybe.
What is the regular scheduled time on a Friday? What is the regular build time on Saturday?
Friday is 2:45 to 5:30 and Saturday is 7 to 10.
Friday would have been till 6:30.
Oh,
No, not on that weekend. He canceled it that weekend. I remember that.
No, okay.
Okay, we need to find the exact times for that weekend, and then if all else, what we should do is just send her a
Just send her a
check.
check.
Yeah, and I don't know if she might have done masters that Friday too. I'm not sure.
Well, that's just, we gotta know exactly.
Get
what
with
it
Coach,
is.
and can we have that resolved by Wednesday, please?
Yep.
And just, whether she submitted a time card or not, just pay it. That
Gotcha.
way, we have done what we
We've
are
done what we need
supposed
to
to
do.
do as
As
an
long as we
employee.
don't know how many hours she worked.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Well, I can ask Coach. He'd know.
Okay.
Okay.
Because it
Wait
can't
and
be
see,
in
so.
here.
The other things on here, so, WSI instructor. Why do we pay on
It's
it?
just miscoded.
It's miscoded.
It's
So what's,
miscoded.
That $504 one?
Uh-huh.
It's miscoded.
so where's it gonna go?
It needs to go to youth instructor.
So we need to bump up our youth instructor to 51 something.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so can we get that fixed by Wednesday, please, ladies?
Well, so the reality for any of these expenses, so at least, here's the way I look at it, is these are through the end of September, which is 9 months, so that's approximately 75%. I realize not everything is distributed equally, but really, we should be here's what I look at, is anything that's over 75% at this point,
Yep.
probably, is a good indicator that something needs to be adjusted. And so,
That's a good point.
I mean,
Absolutely.
that's really.
That's a good point.
Because the thing is according to the RCWs, if we go over budget, that has to be voted on. We can't legally exceed our budgeted expense without a vote of the board. And so any of these that, and there are quite a lot of them, I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it just is. Anything that's over 75%, I would take a look at and see if it needs to be adjusted. And I would say that for all expenses, but
Yeah.
there might
No,
be
you're
some
right.
other.
I totally agree with
So
you.
like lifeguards and senior lifeguards, it's obvious we're using more lifeguards than senior lifeguards to get that done. That's why our lifeguards are higher than our senior lifeguards. However, that's a change in what we budgeted, so we have to vote on that as a board.
Yeah.
As
some of them are
minuscule as that
moving around,
sounds,
too.
that's a big thing that the state's gonna look at. So,
And some of those have coded wrong as well.
okay.
And then that would be, I mean, I know I'm gonna say it's easy, but it's like, but then at least we have, at least we have more leeway, if you will. Because if you look at so for example, salary and wages, if you look at the overall expense, we're barely over.
Exactly.
Right, and so if it's mostly coding, then honestly, I know that that's more work for you guys, but it makes me breathe a little bit easier because I'm not gonna lose sleep wondering where the money's gonna come from, right?
And I will
that's-
say,
Sorry.
no, I'm sorry. And I will say one thing when it comes to salaries and running the pool, you guys have done a good job with cutting expenses
Yeah.
this last year. So, thank you.
May I ask you a question?
Yes,
The
sir.
maintenance supervisor and the pool operator, are they the same?
Yes,
That is the same person?
yes.
Okay.
What does Stephanie go under?
Stephanie is under pool operator,
Stephanie's under pool operator.
so there's two of them that go.
Okay, so it's just called, so under expenses, it's called pool operator, and elsewhere, it's referred to as maintenance supervisor, as it were.
Is
Okay, I'm trying to make
Yeah.
sure that
They both come out of Matt big budget? Okay, gotcha. I didn't realize that.
That's why
This
Okay,
is,
I
this may
remember
sound
now.
like a very silly question, but
No, now's the time.
when you look at the sick pay, and for example, if you look at the pool operator, and you look over, okay, 67%, you're under the 75 that you mentioned. But then, if you add, do you add in this sick pay as part? Does that make sense?
yeah.
Because then because I'm really wondering about that, because then that would take it over the 75%.
Well, I thought the sick pay and vacation pay were the ones we already talked about. Because they
I'm
don't get.
confused about it.
They're already paid for it, so it's not like it's extra, it's just, they're getting paid while they're sick or on vacation, but it's not extra money that we have to pay
Okay.
out.
No, but to Steve's point, I agree with
Yeah,
you, and
yeah.
that's a good insight, is the point is that we're moving so for salaried employees, we're actually moving it down and accruing it in this bucket, right? And so in reality, some of these numbers should be even lower.
Yeah.
I get where you're going with
Okay,
that, because
thank
if
you.
you add them all up, so it's this thing where I think we thought,
Makes
hey,
sense.
this is a smart idea, and maybe it's not a smart idea, because the real cost, so first of all, we can't judge the real cost of sick pay and vacation. We can only do it as we accrue it, because there is a cost to that regardless, at least for vacation, regardless of whether it's actually used or not, there still is a cost to us. And that cost is dependent upon the policy. So do we pay it out at the end of the year? Do you let it overflow? And if so, then some of that number has to overflow, right? That unused expense. Sorry if it's like, it's an excellent point.
Okay,
Yeah,
thanks.
yeah. And that, therefore, it has to, you know, you're following, right? You know, okay. So it does need to add up, and so we are a little bit
Okay.
over.
Thank you.
Sorry. Because yeah, if you add in $12,000 more there, or $13,000 more up there, while it's
Yeah.
not, you know, it's a couple of percent,
Yeah.
it still is, there's still an effect, right?
Yeah.
Do we pay, if they don't take their sick pay, do we give them money at the end of the year?
No.
I don't think sick pay, you don't, but if vacation is earned, there has to, it either has to be taken or.
Paid out.
Right.
When they terminate.
Do we pay it out?
You have to.
You have to.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, yeah.
No choice.
and so it's an expense regardless, and it would probably make, especially in the case of vacation moving forward, it would make sense for us to count that, you know, to decrement effectively the salary and put that in the vacation category, because it's a vacation expense for us one way or the other.
Yeah, we were gonna pay for it.
Right. Sorry, anyway.
Do we subtract the vacation pay out of their normal pay so that it doesn't, I mean, I thought it's like their annual salary is this. On top of that, they get additional vacation pay? Or was the vacation pay 2 weeks of or 4 weeks of, you get to take vacation and we're gonna pay you for being on vacation?
Oh, yeah.
The way that we have it here, tell me if I'm wrong, But the way that we have it here, it accounts in expenses, it accounts for their full salary. And then, but what we've done in terms of, so when vacation is taken, then it's basically decremented and put into that bucket.
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
So, and that's what makes it a little shifty and difficult because, I mean, and then the sick pay is a totally different, I mean, it's a different subject, right? But we should actually be able to estimate the maximum expense for that moving forward, because we know what it can be based on the amount earned, right? So that would be handled a little bit differently, but instead of decrementing the salary based on vacation taken, we should just split them out. Anyway, moving forward, I wouldn't suggest doing that right now because it is what it is. I don't know. I mean, if it's easy to do, I don't know.
You're not gonna have time probably.
I don't think so either. I mean, it's
this year.
looking forward for 2016
Yeah.
and saying let's do it differently next year. Yeah.
So after we've gotten through that, thank you. No, it's good. Payroll, benefits, sick pay, Rhonda.
Medical, did we not budget anything for medical and it's got a $14,000?
Yes,
It
it
shows
is
in a
down,
different spot.
Oh, okay.
At the very end of salary
There it
and
is.
wages,
Where,
23.5.
It's 5762011, right? So we spent $14,260.76 on,
where's the budgeted?
and here's the budgeted. Medical's up here, 23,500.
What page?
Page 3.
Sure.
depending on which.
Depending on which document you're looking at, because I'm looking at the one I got from home. I'm
See,
sorry.
I'm looking at this one. so-
I'm looking at the one I got from home, because that's the one I got marked
Under
up.
where all
Think
the
that's-
payroll is.
Well, see,
That's-
that's the one where it's missing, so where does it show back up? Because that's the one that shows we spent 14,000.
This is
Where
where-
does it
It's
show?
under
Yes, this is what we spent,
5762020.
But
Oh, okay.
we're on, I think it's on the other side.
Yeah, 5762020.
No, that's the one that shows what we spent.
Okay, well then, well, the budget is.
5762010
Yes.
is medical, salary and wages other.
10?
Yes, 2010,
Oh, okay.
It's on the other side.
23.5.
Okay,
Mhm.
see it here. It is 23.5 you're talking about.
Gotcha.
Thank you, Cecil.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna.
Thank you, Joanne.
She sees me over there going,
I had to do it in Braille.
Okay, so where is it?
There you go.
on this one here, it was right here,
Dot,
under
dot,
recreation
okay.
services.
Right after Jim, sorry.
Oh,
I don't know if I just cursed, actually. I hope not. I didn't just curse in Braille.
Got it, thanks.
you said hashtag.
Oh, I did.
Dot hash brown, all right, we don't talk
And
hashtag.
Food for human consumption. Oh, I'm sorry, it's minor purchases. It's like $187. It's like, what?
This is food for special events. For a food for
Special
human.
events or like the food that we had at the Silver Sneakers event.
Right. So if you're not having anything else, that's a big, kind of, not a big chunk, but, you know.
We are going to have some
$800.
ordered for the winter festival that will have in
We will
December.
have some, yeah.
Okay.
How many people are on insurance right now? And
There's
how many
Silver Sneak-
spouses?
Oh.
No, medical.
Medical.
Two.
2 and 1 spouse.
2 and 1 spouse?
2 and 1 spouse.
So the maintenance supervisor and... I don't know,
Spouse.
The spouse and
And coach.
coach, thank you. So how much is it per month approximately? Is it about
Just over.
1,500 out, 13?
13.
Okay, cool. All right, thank you. Very much.
I got a question. Employee awards program, we budgeted $240 and we've spent $667.60.
Hmm?
That's a lot over what we budgeted, so we need to rectify that.
Why?
I don't know.
Because
Um,
of the, like,
The
Ah.
instructional.
It's the instructional reimbursement, instructional incentive reimbursement.
Okay. So that would be something we'd need to either put, yeah, we gotta figure, I understand Joanne's getting ready to throw a water bottle at me, I'm sorry. You're so sweet. You gotta throw Julie's water bottle at me. That makes it better. Thank you. Maybe it's not water. But on a serious note, we do need to either separate those, because if I was a taxpayer looking at the budget, I would see that we budgeted 200 and some odd for employee awards, and we paid 667. And so,
So make another.
Make it
yes, ma'am.
wide.
So, and that's something that you can bring to us and we can correct, because we need to make sure, you know, it seems like minutia that we're getting down into, but we have to.
Why not?
So,
Yep, we
yeah.
need to do it.
Thank you.
Well, you know, the thing about it is also by separating it out and explaining it more, it's gonna save time when we come to our meetings here.
Yes, sir.
So it's a pain in the butt, but it's gonna save overall.
The, down in 2032, the swim team, USA swim regular paid to PNS and meet fees paid to clubs. I'm hoping something got miscoded, because there's a difference of almost $5,000 between the two of those. That difference between what we,
Wait, US registration paid to PNS and meet fees paid to clubs?
yep, as an expense and as a revenue. And
You
so
said there's almost a difference.
the difference of $5,000 between what was shown is we paid $5,000 more than we got back.
And the meat fees are paid for by the parents,
I
correct?
know. And then, so something got miscoded. I'm hoping that there's not another one of those, you know, not
Well,
$28
so
differences.
there's a couple of different things that could go into play here. Number one, the beginning of the year, the way that the system had previously been set up, everything that came in through the front desk for NWAC went in as NWAC dues. It was not differentiated in any way. So there were meet fees paid for the first 8 weeks of the year before that was corrected. That went into the dues pot. I can go back and through Team Unify possibly get a ballpark on what those might have equaled, if you guys want me to, if you see value in that. The other thing that happened specifically with the PNS USA registration fees, a lot of money was collected from parents last year in September that was never forwarded to PNS. So when I took over in January, there was one fairly large chunk, a couple $1,000s, I think.
Huh.
And then there were a couple of smaller ones that
So some
as
of
we
it's just the
were.
difference between the 2 years.
Mhm.
Okay.
It is, but I guess I'm concerned that we didn't cover that when we had approved this budget in June, or,
Yeah, and I don't understand why we didn't see this.
Wait.
But maybe
sorry.
because of the $80 or $60.
I have to apologize. We are in open discussion, and I don't see a procedural reason to take a 5-minute break just so one of us can go tend to some business that I really don't want to record for the recorders. So since we're in open discussion, I'm going to turn the chair over to the vice chair for a couple of minutes, and I will be right back.
For the record, he's from Southern Indiana, and I'm not. So
I
throwing that out
have
there.
never heard the distinction been made, but now we
There's a
see
big
what crosses the
distinction.
line.
He was
I've
saved
heard,
by
I can
a
tell you the
river.
difference.
Now we see what, no, but I'm saying they always glump together with the Indiana thing, and now suddenly it's different parts of
He's
Indiana.
saved by a river. That's it. There we go. Anyway.
So I guess when it comes back to NWAC dues, then if we know that there are meat fees in there, then that concerns me about that number all the more.
Would you like me to go in and see if I can figure out from January and February
Well,
what they should have been?
I think the more important activity is trying to estimate the right budget number. And so I don't personally, if anyone else wants to weigh in on this, I don't personally need you to do that activity because I want to see the result of it. What I think we need to do here, however that work is going to take place, is that we have budget numbers that are closer to what we expect to happen based on what we know. Is that fair? Okay. Does anyone disagree with that?
No.
Okay.
No, and
Okay.
what's actually really important is making sure then, because we use these numbers to go to 2016, and if these numbers are not right,
Yeah.
then don't use them for 2016. You go back 2014, 2013 maybe.
I agree.
Well, I think, yes, but, I mean, because part of that is that believes that there is also, I would personally go with what we have the most confidence in, right? And
Yes.
so, I wouldn't necessarily say that I think that I have more confidence in some of those numbers necessarily. It depends.
Oh.
It depends. It depends on the value, right? We used, for example, for the NWAC dues, we used some numbers from 2014, and we're off. It's off. I mean, it is what it is, and so we kind of have to, you know.
Well, and when I look at crunching that number, I prefer to look at how many swimmers we have today, how many we can anticipate losing and gaining, get a number of swimmers and a dues average so that we're calculating it on present expectations. Because, for example, if we had only had 20 swimmers in 2013, what good are those numbers going to do me if I know we have 40 swimmers now? So I'd rather look at the present number we have and what we anticipate having, and kind of calculate it based on that.
That's a great idea.
Because it's such a fluid thing. Those numbers are not going to, it's not like, oh, we know it's going to grow by 10%, or we know we have, 5,000 new people coming to the island that will increase
just kind of
it
backed up
by
by the
this.
NWAC dues, and so we're kind of rectifying this. And I think all we need, before I turn this back over, I think all we need, well, I'd probably be talking anyway, let's be honest, but, sorry. At least I can admit it. But I think all we need to know is again, wherever the numbers come from, and kind of, hey, here's the basis that we used, whatever. And that's, I think, where the confidence comes from, right? You have more confidence in it. We have more confidence in it as well, based on your confidence. Anyway. All right. So I think, so we were, Mr. Chair, I think we were just finishing with swim team.
Okay. So any further questions or comments from the board on the swim team?
And then swim team other.
Good question. What
Coach
is,
and moving expenses.
Ah,
okay, which we approved.
Okay.
All right, moving on to,
A great way to create revenue possible for the swim team, real quick, is to do like a stroke and turn and a diving, like clinic. I don't know, might be a way to create some extra money before the end of the year.
Good idea, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
small tools and equipment. We're $191 over budget. Just give me a quick rundown why.
I'm sorry.
Small tools and equipment, Joanna? Do you happen to know? I know Matt's not here right now. But do we know?
That's the new,
That's the timer system.
The new starting
Infinity
system.
starting system.
Yes?
the one that goes beep.
Uh-huh. The old one died,
Oh, yeah.
so we had to buy, okay. So we need to rectify that in that budget when we, okay?
You'll
That would be one of
way
those
down.
items to point out.
Can I back up for a second?
Yes, ma'am?
Sorry, on our approved budget, so as you can see here, but on our approved budget for moving expenses, we have 0. I thought because we thought that expense was realized in 2014, but I guess I would ask the additional question. So, I mean, we budgeted 0 in the middle of the year, but additionally, was it not $2,000? I thought it was 2,000.
Which one? Sorry.
I'm back to the swim team other.
Oh,
Was it not
So your question
$2,000?
is, what's the 92?
Yeah.
yeah, I thought
Well,
it was
that would
even
be
2,000.
one question, yeah.
And then why is this in this year's budget, not last year's budget?
I mean, we.
Was it an oversight?
Well,
Was
it
it,
was paid out to him in 2015.
okay, but did we budget for it in 2014? So that's my question.
I don't know how you could have.
Yeah, I don't know, you couldn't
He
have
hired
it.
So-
Because he moved in January.
He
Okay.
moved in January.
That's another click in the box that we have to,
Right, we currently have 0.
yeah, so those are those things we gotta add in.
So I'll rectify that.
What was the swim accessories again?
Part of that is swim caps that he ordered for the team that we're selling as retail items.
Gotcha, okay.
Well, when they join the team, they get the latex one after their trial period. And then part of that is also items that were purchased apparel that was purchased, so basically we
We're,
collected the money.
we're being
and-
reimbursed for it.
Mhm.
Okay, cool, thanks.
The worst part there is just like the meat fees paid to the club, and this may have already been said, stop me if it was, but just like meat fees paid to clubs and the swim registration, people see the
That's what I think.
accessories as something that's the swim team's taking from the budget again without going back in. And as with any program,
It just makes the target bigger.
yeah, it makes that target bigger.
It does.
And man,
So, well,
and I
and
think you
it's-
addressed this before I left. That's something we need to rectify.
Yeah,
whether
because
it
the
comes-
public looks at it and they think, wow, man,
So
what did we pay
if
for?
we could separate out, I know that they're lumped together because we were trying to put the swim caps with NWAC because they're NWAC swim caps
Right.
specifically, but they're a retail item. And if you separate out what was spent on that, then the others I think are pretty much a wash. I feel like all of the families except for possibly one that kind of disappeared and the stuff before the stuff came.
Mhm.
Have paid.
But I know the rest of all paid, but there was that one that I'm not 100% sure about. That was something that a swim team parent was doing, and I know Coach and I have already discussed a different method moving forward
Mhm.
that would prevent something like that. Because the way that it was being done was you place your order, you pay when it comes, and
Right.
I've discussed with Coach, they need to place the order, pay when they place the order, and then,
Get it when
if
it
we
comes.
You know, for the
want
sake of
to-
moving on, is there any way we could put like a, I mean, like something like that, swim accessories, with like a note over to it? Note, see, blah, 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 that, that's, that way a person can think, oh, okay, well, see note, oh, okay. Does it make sense?
It does, but if I
Yeah.
understood correctly, you need to, on the revenue side, you need to break it out
Yeah.
separately.
I think it would, on both sides, I think it would help to break it out
Right.
a little bit more.
Okay, so swim accessories will be broken down even more?
Yeah.
And these are, so we are actually recovering, we have cost recovery when these are delivered though. But we have no carrying costs, we don't carry inventory.
We have the swim caps.
Swim caps we carry inventory.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, just like our other retail items.
I'm looking at the IT, and with all the issues we've had, actually the budget there's doing really nice. That being said, I go down to alarm monitoring and I'm alarmed.
You just really have that one in your pocket.
I've been waiting all day, waiting all day. Waiting all day.
Yeah, note to self, be funny.
I don't know if I call that funny though. That I get tempted humor.
It's funny, isn't it?
Oh yeah, funny looking. So alarm monitoring, how come we have doubled that budget?
That includes the fire test,
Fire test? What fire test?
the,
It's coming from a fireman, that's.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying, what fire test? The
they
fire
came in
alarm?
here and they did the,
A to B from all over the building.
Who does A to B?
Fire department came in.
They don't charge for that.
we got a bill.
We got a hefty.
From the
Well,
Oak
no.
Harbor Fire Department?
No, not
I was
from
about to
Oak
say,
Harbor.
okay, so don't say the fire department did it and they billed you,
No,
because
no,
this
it's-
is in a
it's fire
publicly
test
recorded
done by,
minutes.
Our alarm.
By our alarm company.
Oh, so the alarm company, because that's different than the fire department, because they're
But
tax funded
It is an
too.
alarm.
Okay.
It is a fire test done by our alarm company.
And they do this annually?
Yes.
And what do they do with this alarm test? They check each detector with smoke?
I am not sure.
Huh.
This would be a math question.
Then why did we already know what they were gonna charge us
There's Matt.
before?
Hey, Matt.
I'm sorry?
Why didn't we already have an idea what they were gonna charge before? I mean, because if it's a yearly test,
Is it
and if they're gonna go
wired?
up next year, they should be telling us that they're gonna go up in their fees for that, so. I mean, to me, it just seems like we should already be aware of what they're gonna charge before they come.
This might be, like I said, a coding issue also in the past. I don't know where this was, again, dumped.
So, can we can we look into that, please, especially for my sake, because I'm not quite sure why we have doubled our alarm monitoring, and their testing, did they test each detector? Did they test the sprinkler heads? I mean, you know, we don't have sprinklers. So, you know, what exactly did they test? Love to see that. So,
I think Matt probably has.
could we include those test records in our next regular monthly, and in the maintenance supervisor's report too? That would be a good place to look at that. Please, and thank you.
And the American Red Cross
Yeah, health and safety.
expense 300%.
We had twice as many classes than we anticipated having.
Okay, so we got,
So-
did we get 3 times as much revenue?
No.
And that's weird.
Yeah, because I mean, if
That's
it's-
weird to me, because
if
we
we're
had,
charging for it,
we are, and we get paid for them.
then how can that be?
Because we,
Oh, I know what that was. We have to pay a $300 yearly fee to the Red Cross to run their programs. That's new.
okay, but that doesn't, 300, my Marine Corps math, once again, is not great. However,
Right, let me see
300
what
times
we
what we
made.
budgeted for, and yet our ARC revenue is
Let me look.
$2,000 less than what we budgeted for.
Trying to find it.
So A is not equal in B.
So I would look at that and try and
That's
figure
weird.
out.
Yeah, so why, can we look at that, please?
Yeah, because those all get
Thank you.
paid up front. Yep, we'll look at those.
I mean, because also, if we're sitting there, if we have to pay $300 to Red Cross in order to do the classes, that's fine. But under the same aspect, then
Cheaper than
that's
everything
fit into whatever we're charging.
Yeah.
So that should
Yeah,
be totally
it
wiped
should
out
wipe-
completely.
mhm. Yeah, we'll look at that. I'm wondering if something's coded someplace where it shouldn't, but we'll gander at it. Because we did teach more classes this year than we did last year.
So just to go back to the swim team software, which I'm assuming means Team Unify.
Yes.
So I think you already know this, but so we know that number, okay.
Well, and this is one of these things that on your Excel version of the budget you guys approved, it had software expenses all lumped together. And then we broke them out so that we could show the swim team expense separate from like our eSoft system. So it was kind of a guessing game of, well, how much was supposed to go to which thing when I was plugging those numbers in.
Okay, but we know it's like $100 a month, basically, right? I mean, that's, so.
So we are gonna have enough, I'm sorry, go
No,
ahead.
no, please.
So we are gonna have enough to cover it through the rest of the year. So that what's budgeted needs to go up.
And somewhere else go down.
Well, and I
Exactly.
think there that, because I plugged those numbers in real quick kind of at the end, that was one of the last things I tried to break out. And I know that I think we budgeted more for the email. That number's bigger than what it will actually end up being.
Which
So I
would
think
be
that's
the
where
difference.
adjustment-
Why
Yeah, I
the
think that's
emails-
where that adjustment's gonna,
11,
Cool.
11:30.
Gotta go.
I
yeah.
love it.
Internet and telephone is $3,000 and we're at $2,913. Obviously, we're gonna exceed that in the next 2 months, so,
Stop.
yeah, no more phone. no.
Please,
Stop.
that would be wonderful.
Cash only.
No, so we need to,
Kidding, sorry.
we need to look at that number, Erica,
I'm
for
making a
for
note.
November, thanks.
Yep.
Down in, under utilities, 2049 miscellaneous, and then 576 down here toward the bottom of the page, right under total utilities, then repair and maintenance, miscellaneous, other services, there's a $10,000 budget item that we have expended nothing toward. I think that's another stray
That
bullet.
is
it
the-
is,
the
that's the
integrity.
integrity.
That's what?
The integrity,
Energy.
Oh.
It's the energy audit.
Okay, so that
No.
hasn't
But we
gone.
paid that,
Haven't
right?
we paid that?
We've paid
Yeah,
that.
Okay.
it's somewhere here, I don't know where it is.
Okay.
it would be under 2048 and WPRD repair
And
and
maintenance.
maintenance, other.
Mhm.
So we'll either break that out and put it there, or we'll roll them together.
Yes.
Okay.
Patron water,
Showers.
thanks.
Drinking fountains.
Okay, that was good for me, I didn't.
I think this is the third time that question has been asked. Just cracks me up
Has it?
every time.
I will ask it again.
No, it's just, it's funny, or it's just, because, yeah,
It's odd.
it looks weird at times, yeah.
We put 2 bowls out, and there's the pool water, and patron water, we don't want them drinking from the same dish.
Bottled it and sell it. Just kidding.
The election services, didn't you say we're not gonna pay for that until January, Sean?
Yes, ma'am.
So that's another, it's $15,000 we have in the budget that you can free up.
Yeah, we budgeted that for this year, even though we're not gonna pay it until January.
Well, but, I mean, I think part of this exercise, we have to recognize that we're getting a large payment in November, and then we will get, again, minimal or what have you payments, December, January, February, March. We need money to carry us over, including our revenue, right? Including daily admissions and all those other
Budget
sales that we
items.
make. Right, but so effectively, there needs to be an equation that gets us to, so I wouldn't say, hey, let's take it out.
Let's get to April.
That gets us to April and allows us to pay payroll without having to borrow money from, or rather, take money from reserves.
Why don't we change our year so that we like start the year at when one of the big
I think
payments
you
come?
guys should do that generally. What do you think? Fist pump.
Yeah, because that wouldn't really send everyone over the edge.
Is that what you call pass the buck?
Yep.
That would be
But
becoming
that
past
would
the
make it- I
ledge.
think
It's
that
called
make it
trust-
easier than having to
trusting
like,
the incoming
we need to
board.
make sure we leave enough money to pay these big
Right.
payments, but.
Well, but I think, I mean, most of the things, while there's certain things that are estimates, most things should be at least relatively known. I mean, there are unexpected things, and that's part of what we have to budget for. But it reminds me of, like, if on your house payment, you have escrow, that they go through and do the calculation that says, here's where you're gonna be based on
Okay.
this much every month. And that's really the forward-seeking calculation that needs to happen. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Okay,
know?
no, I'd forgotten that aspect of it, so yeah, leave the 15,000 on this budget so that we have the money to pay when the bill comes due in January. Okay. Good.
No, another thing, as we're looking at intergovernmental, that was a good, I just knew I wasn't going to be part of that discussion, so sorry about the feigned interest. The employee adverserve.
The what?
Employee advisory service?
Thank you. We spent $900 on it and we budgeted a 0, or is that just a coding issue also?
Excuse me.
Because I think employee advisory service, isn't that part of our medical care?
No.
No.
Well, no,
No,
not part of
that's-
our medical, but that was for,
Yeah, it did
For an
no.
employee
Right,
who needed to use the advisory service.
right.
Ah.
So in the future, obviously, we're going to need to recognize that in the budget, please, in November. And that's something we don't, and this was one of those years where we didn't see it coming. We've never had it in the past. It's one of the services the district offers to our employees. So as we go forward with the 2016 budget, it may be something
What
to
is
every year.
advisory service?
It's like EAP for us, for a federal employee assistance program.
So counseling or something?
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
It could be
okay,
counseling, it could
okay.
be those types of
Advice
things.
lines.
Okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
it has
Understood.
more than one thing.
Thank you.
And
Understood.
we've never used it in the past, we used it this year.
Understood. Thank you.
And I'm glad we had it
Yes,
for the
absolutely.
employee.
Me too.
But we need to, obviously, and the board needs to
Yeah,
think about
account for
that in
it.
2016.
Thank you.
so. Okay.
Can I
Yes,
ask a
ma'am.
question about that? Is it really intergovernmental?
Oh.
Or is it really, because I think that's part of
Employee
what.
benefits.
Right, I think that, I mean, well, it does matter. I mean,
It's-
it does matter. If it's being provided by a government service, then it would be intergovernmental. If it's not, then it
It's
should
a
fall under benefit.
yeah.
Okay.
No idea why it's stuck there, but it's.
And you know what, that's okay, I mean, at least we know what it is, and we can find its
Its
correct
home.
home. Yeah, exactly, I mean, it's a refinement process, and that's great, and thank you for that.
Before you
Because
go
that's
on,
part of the benefit and stuff. basically,
Yeah.
what
Exactly.
comes down
It needs to go under the benefits program.
Yeah, and we need to budget for it.
before you
Oh,
go
yeah,
on, can I ask
absolutely.
one question quick? Where did the unemployment go? Because we were paying unemployment to 2 people. Where is it at?
We paid a bunch of that.
Joanne would know that
We
one.
paid employment to
Yes.
2 employees, correct?
Correct.
And are we still
Two
paying?
Former employees.
Well, yeah. That would be unemployment.
Sorry,
Yes, or what?
I'm not laughing at the situation. It
That
was
is
more the-
awesome.
The distinction.
That is,
I was gonna say, I believe it's on here.
Steve-O, here's your son.
We're doing it.
Process check.
We're doing good? Yes. Thank you. Huh? No.
I'm not sure.
That is okay. How about we address that Wednesday, because there's only 5 minutes
We said
left?
an hour and a half.
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Wednesday on unemployment. March on, sir.
Wednesday on the unemployment. March on. Yes, sir. All right. We are doing fantastic.
Thank you.
Looking at our park and rec services. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Refunds under intergovernmental. Somebody, other intergovernment gave us money back? Or we had to give somebody money?
The
We always have.
I know.
I know.
Well, the thing is,
But it's
we're
just,
also
but it's
budgeted
only
for
less
it.
than $3,000. That's
I
what's
don't know
stymied
why,
me.
I don't know why.
Why it's there.
Okay.
Because somebody.
Do we
Okay.
know what the
Somebody's bright idea.
$2,295 is?
Patron.
Spent.
So it's a patron refund.
Patron
Yeah,
refunds.
They're,
Okay.
they're patron refunds.
Okay, so another item that is it intergovernmental because we need a voucher?
From county.
Okay.
I think that
That's
was,
why it's in.
I think that was the
Ah.
justification of putting it there.
I would think you should put it, because usually it's gonna be something that'll take money away from the revenues that patrons give us, so it should be, you know, so that it takes away from revenues? No.
Personally, no. That's, we're back to the cost of goods sold thing, if you ask me.
Yeah.
I think it could be titled better, is that the thing, so that, I'm sure we've asked this question before, I'm positive we've asked this question before, and again, so I think probably if we change the title of it, whether that's now or later, right now I have it on the notes, so, you know, but if we title it better and we ensure that we think this is the right place, or find a better home for it.
Okay.
It offsets something, right? But it could offset many things. So there really isn't a direct offset, because it could be a party, it could be swim lessons, it could be various things.
True. Okay.
So one question I got was that how did $3,000 get be budgeted when it's refund if you don't know what the refunds are until they happen? So
That's what we usually.
how could that?
Because we-
It's just what we normally do.
What we've averaged for the years that prior, we just look at 2012, 13, 14, those sorts of things, and what were we giving back on average? And that's what that was.
Quite
I
simply,
gotcha.
Cecil, because we're that good.
And it's pretty bang on.
Because, you know, it's all I'm getting at is it's kind of misleading.
It is. It is.
You know, because
You-
here
you
we're saying
never
we're
know.
76% on that, but really it's not really a budgeted item because it's money we got coming, that came in, that for whatever reason went right back to the
out.
person who gave it to us.
Should be a wash.
Well,
Exactly.
but I think it makes sense that if we know that's going to happen and it's going to take away from revenues, I mean,
You have to
that's.
recognize it there.
Right, exactly. I mean, I think we have to recognize it's going to happen a certain percentage of the time. And so I was laughing about the fact that, like, yeah, we're right on that number. Is that good or bad? It means it was pretty darn accurate, so.
Just kind of what's happened in years past.
Right.
With that being said, any questions on the remainder?
Park development, I don't remember that.
Dog park.
Oh. Did we,
No, it
We
wasn't
wrote-
dog
that's-
park, that wasn't.
That's
dog
Clover
park.
Valley
It's
somewhere
improvement
else.
Clover,
fund.
that's Clover
Improvement
Valley
fund.
Improvement Fund.
Yeah.
No, it's just improvement fund.
Improvement fund. It wasn't.
Why is it
specific.
called Park Development?
I'd say 'cause there's nothing on the dog
Yeah,
park.
it's in,
did we vote on something and say we wanted?
yes, we did. Improvement fund, $5,000, we did.
Where-
And so that's basically reserves, right? I mean, or we
Yep.
can-
Reserve fund?
It's reserves.
Improvement Fund, it's separate from the reserves.
Okay.
Yeah.
So-
Emergency fund? What?
It's an improvement fund, capital improvement.
Okay,
fund.
Oh,
thank
and
you.
so that's
Gotcha.
what we.
That's right.
Okay.
Started a
That's what Park
separate.
development is supposed to go in the improvement fund, is that, or?
Into the capital improvement fund.
Okay.
So just to say it out loud, it's probably something we should retitle.
Right.
Yeah, because the thing is can we really sit there and spend the money on the capital improvement plan when the levy wasn't for capital improvement?
No.
Actually, the levy includes capital
Yes, it
improvement.
does.
absolutely
Yes,
does.
it does.
But the question is if we have a shortfall, is that the right account to be putting the money in? I mean, that's a valid question. It's what we voted on for now, and the money is there, correct?
It's not in there, no, we haven't put it over there.
Oh,
yet.
okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, I thought based on, I don't know, because I think we
Yeah.
have about $5,000 in that account.
I think there was
No, you
already.
haven't put it on 0%, you haven't put it on.
Right, we haven't, if you look at the
Gotcha.
January to
Gotcha.
September, it's not over there. It's one of those things, we'll see how we're doing at the end of the year and slide that over there.
All right, we have hit our 1 hour and 30-minute mark.
Wow.
So that being said, really good job on getting through everything. Thank you for all your work presenting it. Look forward to hearing more on Wednesday. Further discussion or comments?
Well, we need to decide how we're going to approach Wednesday.
Yes, we do.
We said we were going to discuss that.
So since we're going to talk about 2015, what I'd like to ask the director to do is cancel the current scheduled meeting, special meeting for Wednesday, pardon me, at 6 o'clock. I'd like to have a special meeting to cover the 2015 and 2016 budget at 17:30 or 5:30 p.m. And I'd also like to include a quick second agenda item of mission and vision statements, so that shouldn't take but 5 minutes. All right, so 5:30.
What is the date?
That date is,
Isn't it?
28th.
there we go, the 28th. I've
At
been told.
5:30.
Got it?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
All right,
we'll get that out.
addressed. Thank you, sir. Final,
I would like to make a motion to adjourn, please.
I have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passes unanimously. Thank you all.